collective memory, and our psychological well-being have all been shaped by this trauma. We do not need further validation to know what the genocide occurred. We live with its consequences every day. But remembrance alone is not enough. The time has come for a renewed way of thinking, one rooted in unity, responsibility, and forward vision. We must recognize one another's pain and existence rather than allowing internal divisions to weaken us. Strengthening our present governance is not an act of submission. It is an act of national responsibility. An independent Armenian state that continues to reform, grow technologically and economically, and stand confidently on the world stage deserves our
newspaper editors who mastered the Armenian language and could produce new literary, artistic, and cultural works. Where Armenian culture was given attention in America, it was mostly in the form of past-looking preservation, whether in the form of museums or in preserving art forms unchanged from Ottoman times. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the role of American Armenians not as producers of culture, but as philanthropists and patrons of culture abroad was solidified even more. When American Armenians decided to invest in cultural institutions on a large scale, they mostly chose to do so not in this country, but overseas, whether in the Republic of Armenia or Artsakh. Meanwhile, as the generations go on, American-born Armenians have become less and less connected to Armenian culture, viewing it as something that lives mostly in the past or in another place overseas. Very few American-born Armenians have grown up to be cultural leaders, in part because schools and other cultural institutions in this country are less focused on producing such leaders and have relied more on Armenian communities abroad to come and fill this need. So I invite us gathered here today to ponder the following questions. Do we believe that Armenian culture can flourish here in the United States? Or are we fated to disappear, like some medieval Armenian diasporan communities? Will we rather choose to follow the model of medieval Gilikia and invest our time, energy, creativity, and resources in Armenian cultural institutions here, on this foreign soil that is our new home? These questions seem more critical than ever in light of the ongoing depletion of the Armenian communities of the Middle East and the increasingly precarious conditions in the Republic of Armenia. Can we imagine together a new model for Armenian community life in America for the remainder of the 21st century and beyond? One that focuses on civilizational investment and cultural production in this country. Will our institutions and philanthropy aim to foster, nurture, and cultivate not only Armenian communities abroad, but to produce true heirs, masters, and makers of new Armenian culture here? Will the youth of this country not just aim to become successful, acquire wealth, and with some of their wealth support Armenian causes, but will they choose to become cultural leaders and makers of new Armenian culture here? Let's not delude ourselves. A culture that creates no new works of beauty is dead and lives on only in museums. A living culture is one that creates new things. Take the case of literature and consider this astonishing fact. When my late sister, Tenny Arlen, published a book of poetry in Armenian in 2021, 5 years ago, it marked the first time that someone born in this country produced a full-length volume of creative literature in the Armenian language. Thank you. Of course, many books have been published in Armenian in this country, but always by Armenians born somewhere else who came here. As a way to witness to the beauty and potential of new Armenian culture in the New World, I would like to close my remarks by reading from one of Teni's poems called Baduma, the narration or the telling, recounting from the same root Batmutun history, Batmel, where she reflects on silence and the power of speech, the critical role of poets and storytellers to give meaning to our lives, to create anew after great loss, to speak into the silence a new story, new life, new beauty, new meaning. I'll read only the end of it, first the Armenian original and then the English translation, and I'm reading from this new book, which is a bilingual edition. As I read, let us ponder, as an Armenian American community, can we build a new Armenian Vilikia here in America?
They honor them
Gmerning Lurutian Antmachen, Koshibes, or Baduhani Hatsugin Gina, Yekamas Kamas Gahakchi, Poshin Anshajutya Yekjamanagov, Bargyanera Gatave, Batmutuna Gatave, Parerun Chanchuma, Yanki Animastutun, Yeb Ashkar Pashrankneru Gaveratvi, Yeb Handards Choselo, Parerun Zanunta, Ashkari Vera Zanunta, Para Shunche Peranen, Poshin Gardzardze, Yeb Baduhani Hatsuga Gabarze, Lorentzvads Baduma Batmavadze, Menk Gabrin Batmovneren, Borok Tsain Magudan, Borok Shunch Gudan, Haska Lurutian Bech. We die through silence, like dust that falls to the windowsill and slowly settles. The dust in stillness and time buries the moments, buries the history, the obliteration of words, the meaninglessness of life, and the world breaks to pieces.
Thank you, Dr. Arlen.